It hasn't come up yet. There it goes. All right. So the recording's in progress now. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our June user group. And let me share screens here to get our presentation up. And if I could just get confirmation from our panelists.
Yep, you are good.
That you can, okay, so you're seeing presentation mode. Good deal. All right. Again, welcome everybody to the June user group, June 7th, 2022. I'm delighted to be back with you guys after a little bit of a hiatus, as Kim mentioned in our introductions, which aren't recorded. We do a little stuff up front for those of you watching the recording where we say hi to everybody, but it's been a few months. And, if you're not familiar with the news or you haven't seen your email, we were slated to transition into our new eVA environment on May 2nd, and we did delay that date and push that out. So let me shift to our first informational slide here to talk about agenda. And we're going to speak about all those things this morning and kind of do a little reset. We're only going to take an hour of your time, as Kim mentioned. We're going to end at 11 o'clock today. Don't need a ton of time. We're not demoing or going through a lot of details today, but just kind of want to level set, get some information out to you, talk about some dates and some things like that as we move forward through the summer and into our new go live date, which I will reiterate to you and show you on the next slide. Real quick for an agenda, project notes. We're just going to go over some just high level notes and some things, including the go live date, a little update on training as far as schedule and some things that are going on with our training group. We'll talk about some key project dates. For those of you that have been around for a while, these will be very, very familiar. You'll see these. It's all about the reference data, pauses, and things like that. I think they'll make a lot of sense to those of you who have been around and who have been through a couple of our targeted, I'll call them, go live dates that have unfortunately had to move, but you'll be very familiar with those key project dates. We're going to discuss some functionality and what we're addressing with this delay. And then we should have plenty of time to answer questions. We'll leave a pretty good chunk of this hour in to answer questions. So with that, let me dive into our project notes here and just kind of go over some stuff. So if you hadn't heard, or you hadn't gotten an email, or you hadn't talked to a coworker, or somebody else in your organization, our new go live date for the transition to the new software, new platform. You may have heard it called eValua. That's kind of the backbone of it. It is eVA. We're always going to be eVA, but eValua is the software that we're primarily moving to for this new platform. Is 11/1. Now, if you're scoring at home and you're looking at a calendar, or you're pulling up a calendar right now, you'll notice the 11/1 date is actually a Tuesday. We thought starting on 11/1 made a lot of sense, just to kind of start on the first day of the month. It also, quite honestly, the 31st is Halloween. And that can sometimes be important for our parents and grandparents that are out there, so that you can kind of have some freedom around Halloween and not worrying about a new environment on that day. So it gives us a little bit of a cushion too, as far as our cutover weekend and what that's going to look like. And we'll get to that when we do the tentative dates and some of those project dates, and we'll talk about that here in just a few slides. The big thing I want to say to everyone, if you're new, welcome aboard. If you've never been to a user group before, and welcome to eVA if you've never used eVA before. But here in a few months, we're hoping, hitting that November date and transitioning into a new environment. For those of you that have been around a while, thank you for hanging with us. Thank you for your feedback, your testing, your notes, your thoughts, because quite honestly, right, wrong, or indifferent, nobody likes to miss deadlines. But certainly in a transition of this size and scope, we want to make sure to the best of our ability that we're doing it correctly, that we're servicing you guys as our clients, as well as our supplier community. And, just making sure we get this right. And the more time we bake into the process, the better off the software is going to be. So again, for those of you that have been on this journey with us now, for going on almost 2 years, and if you were around and following along during the procurement process, you're going on to 2.5 years or so of that process. Just thank you for being with us. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your feedback. Thank you for your engagement with us as we've gone, through this journey. And we are absolutely looking forward to targeting on that 11/1 date and hitting that date, and transitioning into an environment that we think y'all are going to like. We still believe that, even with the delays, even with pushing the date out now twice, and looking at this November date, we're still very, very confident we're moving into an environment that's going to be good for not only you on the government side of the house, but also for our supplier community as well. A couple other notes, and some of you might have started to get emails about this. Some of you may have been in meetings or smaller group meetings, or talked to your account executive and have begun hearing some of this, but just some notes I wanted to get out for you. The conversion environment. For those of you, again, that have been around, we really maintain 2 environments, and these 2 topics kind of come together when it came to transitioning. We maintain a lot of environments, including production, but certainly for the transition, we had kind of ginned up 2 environments. One was a conversion environment, and what the conversion environment was for was, quite honestly, testing our ability to move data from our existing eVA environment, our existing eVA production environment, and being able to take that data, users, approval flows, accounting, a handful of our transactions that are active transactions, and then moving them into the new platform. And that's all that environment was really used for, was, testing that logic, making sure we were able to transition that data successfully, both transactional data, again, just repeating myself, sourcing, requisitions, orders, receipts, and reference data, users, addresses, accounting information, things like that, and making sure we could put it into the production environment successfully and the data was in a condition that you could use it. So we had this conversion environment. Thing with conversion is it wasn't a fully fleshed out environment. It didn't have, for those of you that do, any type of data exchange with us. If you consume one of our flat files, or if you send data to us through an import, or you do an integration, or you consume our vendor file, that some of you do, and some of you don't do any of that, but a lot of organizations do. The conversion environment really didn't have any of that. So for a lot of our entities that maybe do real-time integration between eVA and their financial system, you really weren't getting a full run and being able to do verification, because we just didn't have those connections in conversion. So that's where UAT comes in. UAT is short for user acceptance testing. That is a major environment for us to test software releases, to test changes and updates. And that's really where we're prepping the software to then move into our production environment and be production ready. Now that area has all the data exchanges and all the connections and the ability to, do integration and interface and create a supplier file and, all the things. It really operates like a production system. However, we didn't really have productionized data in there, or at least it wasn't fully fleshed out. UAT was missing a lot of things, including converted transactions from the old environment. We didn't do any of that. It was missing a lot of users. You didn't have your full user base. It had accounting and addresses and some things like that. But then the approval flow didn't really match or convert from our existing production environment into UAT. You kind of had to do a lot of setup and do a lot of recreation. So while the functions itself, how you do a requisition, how you did sourcing, receiving, registered a supplier, electronic response, that's truly productionized software. The data and the setups wasn't exactly a full production or production-like environment. And we were sitting there with 2 environments, and let me just tell you guys, it didn't go very well. The testing and verification. We had some of you guys in one area and you wanted to, confirm your approval flow and do integration. Well, you can't do that in conversion. You have to do that in UAT, but in UAT, you didn't have your approval flows fully fleshed out. And it just, quite honestly, we were doing what we were doing at the time based on the timeframes we had. And it just was an approach that, given this new go live date, we're going to rectify. So again, some of you may have heard this note. If you haven't, surprise, it's happening right now. That conversion environment's getting ready to go offline. And I'm saying by this week, quite honestly, CGI was our CGI, who was our partner in this, was taking the environment back, some of that yesterday. So if you've tried to get into conversion and you can't get in, that's why. That environment's coming offline, and you're likely, or not likely, you are never going to see that environment again. But I have good news. I have good news. And that is this third bullet point. We are planning a full UAT refresh with production data. Now, I've got a tentative date on there. There's still some planning we need to do. We need to do some messaging to you guys to get this figured out when the time frame is going to be. It's definitely going to be this summer. And it's likely going to be mid to late July. I put late July in there on the dates. But we are going to create or refresh the UAT environment so you really have a full-fledged production-like environment in UAT. So you won't need conversion. You're going to have an environment that has all your users, all your data, all your approval flow, including a snapshot of converted transactions, including purchase orders and sourcing and receipts and supplier data, production-like supplier data. So yay. That's going to go into UAT. So when you are released back into UAT to do interface, integration testing, any type of verification, maybe you just want to check out your approval flows, there's not going to be any confusion where you're going to be. You're going to have one environment to do that, and you're going to be doing that in UAT. Now, some of you have been given this date. There could be a little extension on that date for those of you that are doing interface integration and any other data exchange testing, maybe supplier files and things like that. It'll go past this Friday's date, and you'll notice that's a pretty quick turnaround. But if you have anything you are doing in the existing UAT environment, we'd really like most of you to wrap that up by this Friday. So if there's anything you're looking at, any issues you need to report, anything you're seeing weird in UAT and you have access to UAT, we'd really like for you to report that as soon as possible. And the date that has gone out to a lot of you is Friday, June 10th. Now, if you're saying, Shane, it's the first time I've heard the June 10th date, I need more time, or how dare you only give me, 3-4 days to do that. Again, there are some caveats. We do have a couple special projects with some organizations that may have a little bit more time. It's not going to be more than a week or two more time, but I just wanted to be as transparent as possible about that. But in the grand scheme of things, we'd really like you to wrap up UAT testing with your existing environment, with your existing data setup as soon as you can, and get that put to bed, get everything reported to us so that we can spend a few weeks doing this refresh. And then we're going to come back to you in mid to late July, and you're going to have one environment to go to, and everything's going to be in there. And we're going to be in a lot better position going into that November 1st date. With one environment, you're not going to have to maintain multiple IDs and all that fun stuff. So we're really excited about this, and just wanted to kind of break the ice on that with this larger user group. And again, I know some of you have been in other meetings or have talked to your account exec or have gotten an email where some of this has been discussed. So just wanted to make you aware of that. Stay tuned for more communication on that over the next several weeks as we kind of take back the UAT environment for just a sec, take a couple weeks, get that refresh out, and then begin messaging you guys about the, once the environment has been refreshed. So again, sorry to spend so much time on that, but really a key point of today's meeting and some things we're doing. We think this puts us in a better position overall. It kind of ends that confusion about where I need to go to verify whatever I'm wanting to verify. And so we're excited about that. The other thing too, I hated going silent on you guys for basically 2 months and not having buyer user group meetings, but we are going to return to our monthly schedule through the transition. So we'll meet in July, we'll meet in August, we'll meet in September, we'll meet in October. And, just a chance to take your questions, maybe demo some things, kind of get back into that normal flow with our user group meetings and get back to communicating with you guys. So we are very, very excited about that. And again, thanks for hanging in there with us as we kind of stepped back and sat down with our leadership and sat down with CGI, our contractor for eVA, and kind of figured out these new dates and figured out this new plan of attack. So we appreciate that. But we're excited to get these bug meetings going again and get to talking to you guys again. So very, very excited for that to happen. Shifting gears here a little bit and going into training, I just wanted to give you a quick update on this and kind of level set with you guys. We're going to talk about functional areas we're addressing towards the end of my speaking part here, but just some things that are going on. There are going to be some changes to functionality and how we're doing things. So the training modules and materials will get a little refresh. And, big hats off to Sarah Lewis and her team there that she works with at CGI. And quite honestly, anybody who's been involved with training or training review, including other staff members at DPS. But right now, the training team, we've kind of identified the areas we're going to address with this new timeline we have. We're in kind of a planning phase right now for all of these things, but there's some analysis going on, what needs to be updated, what needs to be touched. Do we need new quick reference guides? Do we need to update any of the training modules, any of the learning journeys, any of the self-guided stuff? Do we need to update the instructor-led training notes? So there's an analysis going on right now. It's probably going to last several weeks as that team gets their mind together about what needs to be addressed in training. Then there'll be an update phase, probably, kind of through the middle to late summer. And then that implementation will go in place. And you'll be hearing from the training team. You'll be hearing from Sarah Lewis as that plan begins to come together and any necessary updates need to be made. Now, again, we don't feel like there's major turn it on its ear type of updates coming your way. The training that is in place still has a lot of value. It exposes you to the new environment. It exposes you to the system. It exposes you to what this transition is going to look like. So there's still a lot of value in going through some of these things. So just to reiterate, ongoing, the learning journeys are still available. Those materials, there's quick reference guides, there's user guides, quite honestly. There's a training page linked to the transition newsroom that has all this information in it. Instructor-led training will continue throughout the summer, not with an everyday aggressive schedule, but interspersed throughout the summer, we'll still be doing instructor-led training. We don't want to completely disconnect training with this extension. So there will be a light schedule of instructor-led training. And again, the learning journeys are still available through the LMS. And again, there is a great website on the eVA homepage. Go to the transition newsroom, and there's a link there for training. Get all those details there and get access to the learning journeys, which are self-guided, and also the instructor-led training schedule as well. Keeping in mind the November 1st date, then we will get again very aggressive in October with instructor-led training for those of you that are coming to us for instructor-led training. And it'll be each day of the week, much like we did in April. If you were with us going into the May go live, we had instructor-led training, pretty much every day in April, leading into the May 2nd go live. Same thing here. We will have a very aggressive schedule in October so that you and your staff can get trained in October, and come to those VILTs, come to those instructor-led training in October to prep for the November 1st date. So just wanted to kind of hit all that from a training perspective. Shifting now to some key project dates. Again, I mentioned this at the beginning. For those of you that have been with us through this journey, you shouldn't see any surprises on the dates and the titles, and what's going on with these dates. But let me just read through them. I put tentative on there, but I'm pretty confident that these dates are going to hold, based on our go live date. And if you went back and you were with us when we were going live in January, you would have seen these dates in December. May, you would have seen these dates in April, but it's kind of the same thing. We take our go live date and you back things up, and here's some key things. Pausing of reference data updates, we would again ask for that on October 1st. Reference data updates, accounting, addresses, users, things like that. We understand there's emergencies. We can handle emergencies, but in the grand scheme of things, we want to pause those reference data updates October 1st. Electronic responses for sourcing and contracting will be disabled. That will happen on October 14th. That's a Friday. That looks like that'll be the date. That is one date that could move. You may have all day Friday and we'd shift it into the weekend to, or Monday morning, it would go away. Certainly that's a date that could move a little bit, but you get the idea. The reason we do that is to protect the procurement. And this is specific to our sourcing and contracting module, not quick quote. You can do quick quotes pretty much right up until the bitter end, and take electronic responses. The big key for quick quotes is making sure you reward them and you finish up that procurement before we transition. But the point here is if we can't take a sealed response and convert it, because you have to open it, and opening a sealed response before you're legally allowed to do so causes problems, puts the procurement at risk. So that's why we disable electronic responses a few weeks before. So we want you to have those dates in your mind as you're planning your sourcing opportunities and you're planning your procurements. Supplier account maintenance temporary pause. We would do that again, October 14th. This restricts the suppliers from making account maintenance updates. Again, we can handle emergencies internally. If a supplier has to get a new address or has to get a new email or whatever it is, we can handle those administratively internally, but we do pause that, roughly 2 weeks before the go live date. And then we pause registrations a few days before the go live date. The transition start at this point, I'm predicting noon on the 28th. That's actually a Friday. So we would start the transition on Friday at noon, keep it through the weekend, keep it through Monday, which is the 31st, keep the environment down as part of the transition. And then on Tuesday morning, which is November 1st, the new eVA environment would be up and ready for you guys to roll. So again, for those of you that have been with us, I don't think any of these dates are a surprise. And if you have any questions, let us know, let your account executive know, and we will look to address those questions. But again, I know a lot of you have been with us on this journey for a long, long time, and I don't think any of these dates are shocking that you're seeing there. That this is the third time we've reset these dates and gone through this process. So wrapping up here, my last slide before we start taking questions. You're wondering, oh, great, you delayed again. We know there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot to eVA. There's a lot of functionality we support, but just wanted to list some key areas that we're going to address and going to do our best to make sure we have an answer for you and functionality that supports your business processes. And here's just a few of them. For those of you that have decentralized security and manage your own users, making sure we're doing that for you properly. Same thing with data management. That includes addresses, accounting, things like that. Making sure that we can roll that out to you organizationally, to your entities, to your security officers, so that can be managed and you have that autonomy, to do user management and data management in a decentralized manner. So you have control of your eVA environment. Not a lot of entities use this next bullet point, but taking a good hard look and trying to work in some more detailed requirements around what we call workload management, queue management. This is the ability to take a transaction and assign it and really manage your workload. We just weren't liking the direction that was going, and we challenged our contractor and CGI to come up with a different approach for us. So that's one of the areas we are also going to address. Again, I know a lot of you may be looking at that going, what in the world is workload management? Because from a entity perspective, there's not a lot of you that use it. It's a handful of entities, but the number of users that impacts is actually rather large. So it is on my list, something to talk about. And hey, maybe no matter what your size of your entity and what you do, it may be functionality you want to take advantage of from a workload management perspective. So going to take a better look at that. Then this next bullet point 4, I'm really excited about. We kind of had gone through and done some analysis, and we know change orders is a big deal in our environment. And if we were going to go live on that May 2nd date, we kind of said, whoa, we're not going to really be able to do a change order to converted transactions, to converted purchase orders. You're going to have to cancel and reissue. And boy, the more we looked at that, the more that just felt unpalatable. And we're relatively confident that we got a path forward that you will actually, for converted transactions, so a transaction that's active and within our current system, we're going to move that into the new environment, and you're actually going to be able to do change orders against it. So we're excited about that. For those of you that made your radar go up and your eyebrows pop up as a good thing or a bad thing, certainly those of you that do any sort of data exchange, integration, interface, that's an area we're going to want to focus testing on in the summer. And I'll just say in the summer. I don't want you to wait until the fall. We need to get to that in the summer once we bring that environment back up, so you can test those procedures and make sure we're doing it right. So we're excited about that and hope we have a solution to share with you later in the summer about that. Ad hoc approver in our current environment. You can take an ad hoc approver and kind of put it anywhere in the approval flow. And we had a restriction going into the May go live date where you could only drop ad hoc approver into like one spot. And it was really at the end of the approval flow. And we think we've got a fix for that, where you can, I'm getting a little bit into the weeds here, but within an approval area, and we call them eVA approvals, you'll be able to kind of slot that ad hoc approver wherever you wanted to. So that could be a big benefit. And we think we've got a solution around that too. So very exciting. Logi ad hoc, I put that in there. There's a ticket I'm tracking with our contractor that says, this is something we want to address. I talked to Lisa about this yesterday, and she was like, I'm not so sure about that one, but I went ahead and left it into this presentation today. Again, it's a small set of entities that use Logi ad hoc, but it impacts a lot of users. So this one's in here. Logi ad hoc is part of our report and resource center. It's the ability for you as an end user to create your own queries and reports. It's absolutely a function and feature we're going to support. It just had been for a while not a day one feature. And we've kind of said, well, with this extra time, let's look at addressing that. So we do have a ticket in place with our contractor, and it's marked as being addressed at this point. We'll keep communicating with you guys about that, but I wanted to leave it up there. is something we're looking to address. And then sourcing, not major changes to the entire process, but general navigation, the way we use envelopes, and then how you create a sourcing opportunity, I'll say. I'm trying, how you create an IFB, how you create an RFP, how you do an unsealed IFB, kind of the navigation to that and the creation. There's quite honestly, Kelly Gill, who is Barb's deputy, and Lisa Kirby, really got their minds together on this with some feedback from you guys in the field. Tracy Robinson, who's our lead for this tool on our side. And again, they kind of put their heads together, a lot of feedback from the field, and they feel like they've got a better approach, a smarter approach to this. So we're excited about that as well. So in wrap up, those are some of the key things from a functional perspective that we're looking to address in this time frame, and just giving us time to clean up some bugs that we identified that felt critical to us, that felt like they were go live issues, address some key functional areas, get those dates adjusted. So we're excited. The more time you have, the better we can make this system. So we're very, very, very excited about that. So with that, I want to move into, that leaves us about 21 minutes or so. We're going to stop hard at 11. That leaves us about 21 minutes or so for Q&A. And we can just dig into questions. I see we've got a question. Again, I'll play the Kim role. Please don't put your question in the chat. There is a Q that says Q&A. Enter your question there, because that way we can address it, see it. And then if for some reason we run out of time or we don't get to your question, it allows us to pull it very easily, get it addressed, and get it back to you so that we can address that question.
Yeah, and a few questions are in there already. So I'll go ahead and let you see those two questions related to UAT both, and then just say thank you guys so much for using the chat for the comments. Lots of positive comments and people excited. So you never know exactly what the feelings might be, and all over the place for sure, with all of us getting ready and then pausing, getting ready and then pausing. So just thank you so much. I think that it's our attitude with which we face this go live and transitioning and everything that really will help make it be even more successful than we feel like it will be. So thank you for being gracious with us, giving us a little grace as we try to transition. So go ahead and dive in.
Yeah, lots of questions around UAT. So
lots of questions knocking them out.
So Letha Dickerson, good morning, Letha. Will this UAT be set up like our individual approval workflow so we can see how it's really going to work for us? Yes, that is absolutely the idea. That's why we're doing this. Absolutely, that's what's going to be happening. So we're very excited about that. And Lisa marked.
She wants to add something to it.
She wants to add something to it. So go for it, Lisa. Oh, we can't hear you.
I'm in a conference room today, so there's so many buttons. But I was just trying to clear the queue, but that's Kim's job, so I'm putting my hand down.
Okay. You were clear. Well, market is answered, and you can knock that one off there, Lisa. So thank you. Bonnie Sutphin, good morning, Bonnie. And by the way, regional champion, hockey baseball and hockey softball. Thank you very much. Woo. So Bonnie, if you don't know, is works for Virginia Tech. So Barb's shaking her head. Based upon your discussion about the UAT refresh with production, it seems like there doesn't seem that we need to do additional testing on the interface capability until UAT is refreshed. That's correct. Bonnie, particularly for you, since you're doing an import, I don't want to answer for the DGS ISS technical team that works with you guys on this. You may not have to do any testing at all. You may be good to go because we're not really changing the data layouts. I'm much more concerned about interface integration would be probably the bigger concern there, but certainly we'll be reaching back out. And Bonnie, I know you guys wrapped up your testing a while ago. You don't need to take any action on your end until we reach back out, and certainly until after the refresh. Good morning, Vicki Chapman. Will you reopen the eVA on-demand support? That is absolutely the plan, depending on what our test plan is and when we bring folks back in to do testing. There'll absolutely be some sort of on-demand support going on for that. And we'll be happy to get those queued back up. Lisa and her team, Lisa really does a lot of the test planning for us with the account execs and with our project management team. So a lot of that will be coming together. So stay tuned for more, but yes, absolutely. We will have on-demand support and a support structure for you as you dig into the new environment. Anna Hoy, good morning, Anna. Will our UAT user accounts be updated? Yes. I mean, we're talking, this is a full refresh. So your production account is going to move into UAT. So you're going to have a named account. So if you have an account in current eVA production, you will have an account in UAT. Now, when and where you get access to that and what you're going to be doing in there, that's a completely different story. It doesn't mean we're just going to snap our fingers and all 11,000 eVA users are going to be jumping into UAT. All right. So I want to be clear about that. But absolutely, if you are doing UAT testing, you will have an account with your email address associated with it and with your user ID, and you will be getting that information again from the testing team, depending on when and how and if we need you to do any testing or verification. So great question. The next one from Danielle Henley. Good morning, Danielle. And Lisa has marked this one that she'd like to answer. So I will read the question and let her answer. Will there be a simpler process for awarding construction contracts? Currently, it's challenging to award construction contracts when there is no notice of intent, master agreement, or PO. So I will let Lisa answer that.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, exact. Okay, I'm like double muted to make sure I'm not. So I think that what you're referring to is it's challenging in the current system to do that process. And so I do think our new process will be better. There are learning journeys out there that you could go out and take a look at. We haven't made too many tremendous changes when we've looked at the sourcing piece and the navigation to that. So if you are looking at the learning journeys and the quick guides that have been posted out there, that information should help you and walk you through that process. So I do think it is a little bit easier to make those awards. And construction is definitely something that we want to spend a little bit more time on after go live, even to make sure we're best supporting those procurements.
All right, and
No, I'm
Shane,
on mute.
I was going to say,
yeah, I was saying, great. Thank you, Lisa. And I was on mute.
I was going to, the next one is, once the new eVA goes live, will the old one go away?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Tanya Smallwood. Good morning, Tanya. Or Tanya. Tanya. Depends on what part of Virginia you're from, right? Tanya, depending on where you're from. Tanya, depending on where you're from. So thank you for that question. But yes, eVA, the old one, it's going away.
And I think that this is worth noting because we have several people that are new and just in general. So everything that you're learning now to do your job in the current system, you're going to be learning just like some of our user group members mentioned in the chat. We all are learning a new platform, new tools, new technology that are supporting your procurements that you do. So again, there's training out there. And if you haven't taken the training, if you haven't dug into what your role is and what your learning journey is, please go out there and take a look at that training. It's off the Transition Newsroom. And I believe that Sarah also put that link to the training information for our buyers in the chat. So thank you. And then the next one for Lisa, you'd like to answer, is the VBO still shut down to new solicitations? And unmute.
Yeah, VBO buyer, to be clear, that application is gone, it's retired, you can still do your awards. I encourage you, if you have solicitations that have been posted that have not been awarded, you need to go out there and make those awards still. That functionality can be done, but otherwise that is shut down. And anybody else want to echo or add to that? Because I know that was honestly a good mile marker for us as a program in the Commonwealth of Virginia too.
All right.
right, you're gonna handle the next one, Shane.
Yeah, next question, and I might get Barbara to jump in on
And there
this one
was
too.
a clarification, so he added an extra clarification. It says, sorry, I meant delay another year, not another yet. So that was an ad that got put into the comments.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Knock that one off. But the question from Blaze Pappas, I love that name, Blaze Pappas. That's cool. Hi, I'm glad the transition didn't occur only a month before this year's fiscal close. I understand you don't want to delay another year, but for those of us who have to close blanket orders by doing change orders on them at fiscal close, wouldn't it be easier to align the transition with the end of a fiscal year? So lots of things could go on with that. One of them was part of the potential functionality we're going to address that you may not have to do. You will do that change order again at fiscal close. You'll do it in the new system because we're going to transition it for you. So you'll be able to operate as normal. With our new approach, we did have an issue with change orders, and I don't want to get too into it because I don't want to muddle, but with converted transactions, you're going to have to cancel them and reissue them, and it was a mess. Well, now, if we get this procedure correct, which I feel like we're going to, we'll convert that purchase order for you. And if you need to do changes to it, you'll do it in the new system, just as you've always done. So you won't have to close things short or do anything like that before we transition. So you should be able to operate as normal, because we're just going to move that transaction for you and allow you to take every action you need to take in the new system. So I think that's hopefully a nice, clean approach for everyone. More details to come on that.
Yeah, and perfect. And then Lisa, you would like to take the next one? So on 1014, electronic response disabled date for sourcing and contracting, will updates still be allowed to the solicitation, etc., upload amendments or attachments, or will this disable apply to electronic responses only?
You will still be able to do amendments to your solicitations after the October 14th date. You may need to work closely with your account executive to do that. The reason for that is because if you were accepting electronic responses or something and you flagged it and then you extend your date, you may have to change to receive paper only depending on when your date is. And there's some policy impacts with that, and we don't want to overwhelm you with that thought process. Our account executives have been geared up to support you with that throughout the process too. So yes, you'll be able to do the amendment. However, you may have to coordinate with your AE to do so. So kind of keep that in mind when you're having to do that, or if you do have to amend a solicitation between the 14th and our go live date.
All right, and the next question you also said you would like to take. So that one is from a new user. So Don, welcome. And how about designing something for new users, myself and a few others? I am not just new to the new system, we're new to ordering. For me, I have to put in a couple of requisitions in eVA. I've also done some of the VIP training, which is great. Since the new date is now November 1st, will there be a quick refresh for what I learned?
So I am curious a little bit on this. I'm going to answer it two ways though, because it makes me feel like you're asking about the existing system and support for that if you're a new user, and then also refresh maybe of the training that you have completed for the after November 1st system. How about that? So if you need support with the current system now, because we have had a lot of people come in and say they're new to eVA just in general, there is some training and guidance in the new or in the current LMS system for that. And if you need help finding that, please reach out to your agency. May have a training coordinator, or your account executive, or customer care can even help you navigate the LMS system to find that training that we have to support the current platform, because we are still full support of the existing platform that we have. You'll also find all of our quick guides and training information on the eVA homepage for that under buyer resources. So if you click I'm a buyer and you navigate to that page, I'll drop a link into the current training materials as well in the chat. As far as a refresh, our training materials will be updated, and we'll inform you when that happens. It will be up to you to decide how much you want to dig into the training that you've completed for the new platform. Probably, it may be a good idea based on some of the content that we're training. The requisitioning area, though, if you've completed the training, it might just be that kind of poking around again and familiarizing yourself, taking that initiative to go back into the learning system yourself for that.
Perfect, thank you. And then the next question is, will the ad hoc approver be able to handle more than one approver, and will it be in UAT? So Lisa?
Sure. So UAT in the new platform, you absolutely can do more than one ad hoc currently. The trick is that you do have some limitations as far as the workflow node that you're in and where they populate, and we are looking at expanding the options to be more flexible to support your business needs for that in the new moving forward with some of the fixes that we have coming in the next couple of months.
Perfect. And then the next, when will we get more information and high level demos on the changes being planned for sourcing?
I'll go ahead and take that. I mean, we're waiting. We have migrations coming through UAT. It's something that our team will test and work through, see if it's what we like, or if we need to make additional adjustments. We'll have user groups. Shane mentioned in the previous slides, if you missed that piece, that we'll be doing these monthly again, and this will be the area that we use and continue to use to inform all of our users about the updates that are coming in. So stay tuned to your upcoming user group.
And then the next question, when and where can I get access to a quote unquote sandbox where I can learn my way around the new eVA and use to train my agency? So Yvonne, I'm assuming you're the trainer. You're a trainer for your agency. And Sarah Lewis has put some current platform training information into the chat. The train the trainer information is on the training page of our transition newsroom. So I am hopeful that she's going to maybe put that link into the chat as well. So that's where you can find that specific information. Anything that you want to add there, Lisa?
No, I think Sarah is the best place, and again, we'll be coordinating that from a training perspective. There may be other opportunities and other sandboxes for that too that we'll work with you through. But if you're leveraging if you're looking for a sandbox for training, definitely coordinate with Sarah, and she will be our voice to keep you guys going. And
she has been working in the background. Thank you, Sarah. And she put the train the trainer link directly to that page for our buyer training of the new platform into the chat for you to access. So thank you for that. And then the next is, when we've got about 4 minutes left, what is quick quote in the new system? So go ahead, Lisa. Or yeah.
Sorry about that. I had the infamous 10% warning of your battery, and I was like, we were scrambling in here to get you a power cord is what you just witnessed. So there is an area to do quick quotes in there now. It is, I'm not gonna take up too much airtime on that. That is one of the things we are addressing with the sourcing component to make that more clear and straightforward for you. So stay tuned to a future bug for that information.
Yeah. And will the colleges be able to order directly from mandatory sources versus the buyers processing the orders through? Currently, the colleges can order the mandatory source items through the punch-out catalog, and we do not see the college's orders at all. Barb?
Thanks, Kim, since all four of us are not quite sure. I don't really follow.
I mean, I'm not following either. And all I can say is you want to go back to your procurement manager and get guidance on mandatory sources and purchasing from them, because every college has a different list of mandatory, or what they deem to be mandatory sources. Some of them are state defined mandatory sources, like what our state agencies have. And then others are mandatory because you have contracts, or you have sole source awards and those types of things. So get clarification from whoever your manager is on that.
I would completely agree with that, Kim. And certainly, Martin, if you need additional information, reach out to me or reach out to your account executive, and we can certainly try to navigate that challenge with you. So.
Yeah, because a lot of stuff is delegated down to department level purchasing. And so if you're a department level purchaser for your college or university, then you definitely want to lean back on your procurement shop to give you guidance just in general about policy and what you purchase and from whom. You're welcome. All right, and last and final question. We have firewalls to work around with DMA. Do we as an agency need to be aware of anything different in the new system? And Shane, you'd like to take that one.
Yeah, I don't believe so. We should be. We have moved. I'm a little shaky on the details because I don't get into the minutia of that, but the platform that the new environment is going to be on, we're in Amazon Web Services, or you'll also hear it called AWS, is where the eVA platform is run out of. We're run out of AWS. That's where everything is. And quite honestly, our existing platform and what will eventually be our new platform, and including for you guys who have been in UAT or conversion or anything like that, it's all on the same platform. It's in the same AWS, area. So there shouldn't be anything from a firewall perspective that impacts you. Lisa does have her hand up, and I know Joel is in the room with her, so there may be more perspective on that. Go ahead, Lisa.
No, I was just going to add, because we were chatting through and trying to figure out what it is. I think that it's a really great question. And if you have current setups and firewall issues now that you're addressing with your IT department, reach out to your account executive and we can work with you to test through those scenarios too and see if it is an issue or if it isn't. I know that for a lot of the things that we're seeing here, like even the
And that is a great point. If you're having network issues now, remember, I just said it's on the same platform. Because we're transitioning, it's not going to magically fix those because it's, we're moving data and software, but it's the network pipe is the same. We have a little segment of AWS and they're just kind of moving it within the same. It's not like we're moving from, brick and mortar servers to the cloud. I mean, we're already on the cloud. So it's just moving within the cloud. So if you have issues now, let's address them now. Because again, the transition is not going to magically fix those.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much. That will wrap up our user group for today. We will have a playback again that will get sent out if we answered all of the questions, which I think is fantastic. So we're going to point you back to the playback that will get publicly posted so that if you want to listen to any of the answers again or go over any of the content again, you can just replay and fast forward to that segment that's important to you. Go to your agency trainer or your DPS account executive for support. And we look forward to meeting with you again in July. We do have that date on the calendar. If we have to move it at all because of schedules, I will let you know, but definitely look for the actual invitation that comes out and then be able to register for our future user groups. Thank you guys. Enjoy the rest of your
Thanks, everybody.
June, and we will see you again soon.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, guys.